When it comes to what your family eats and drinks, you know your choices matter. You're the expert because you know what fits your life. And getting it right starts with good information. That's why America's beverage companies are sharing more information about our ingredients at goodtoknowfacts.org. No spin, no judgments, just the facts straight from the experts for more than 140 beverage ingredients. Visit goodtoknowfacts.org.
All right. You there, bud?
I'm here.
Oh my gosh, it worked. Look at me. We're working problems out virtually here, man. I appreciate you letting me know. I probably should have told you that we were going to do this Facebook live stream beforehand, so I could have protected myself from embarrassment.
All good.
Hey, Matt, what's up? Hey, listen, guys, this is an old friend of mine, Matt Lisle. A lot of people call him the internet's most followed hitting coach, which is accurate. It's totally accurate, but I call him Matt Lisle. I remember growing up with Matt, playing baseball with him and against him for many years, and always had an amazing attitude, always passionate about the sport, and moreover, people. And Matt, dude, I think my second year ever, I was on your brother Trevor's team.
Yep.
The Wolves. And was your dad the coach?
Yeah. My dad, I mean, he coached me most of the years that we played. There were a couple years in there he coached. I don't know if he coached both teams at the same time, but he definitely coached my brother a few years as well. So that wouldn't surprise me. He was still coaching for a long time.
Yeah, man, that was awesome. I remember that. Me and Trevor were the 1-2 punch on the bump. That was like my last successful year of pitching.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
After that, it was just straight fastballs and people were taking me yards. So my dad hid me behind the plate and it worked out for me. But yeah, man, listen, dude, I appreciate you taking the time to get on here and for us to catch up. And, your story's pretty incredible, man. I think, and I'm pretty sure I'm correct, you're literally the only coach ever to coach every level and not just baseball
that we know of. We've definitely tried to figure out if there's anybody else who's, I think everybody's coached Little League and travel ball in high school and stuff, but from the college level, JUCO, NAIA, D3, D2, D1, and then 2 different sports as well. So it's just it's been a crazy journey. That's the best way to say it. It's just been a crazy
we'll definitely get into that, but first I want to start small, okay? And forgive me, it may not be small, but how did you transition from baseball, right, in the concepts of hitting to softball? Because listen, man, we've been friends for a lot of years, and I followed you, and I think one of the things I remember you saying on some of your videos is the baseball and softball swing are not all that different.
Not different at all, actually.
Okay.
And we could talk about that, but it's just it's actually a real, to me, it's a funny story is, I coached some D3 ball, some JUCO, I coached NAIA, and, as a father and married and having kids, the most money I made coaching in my career for the first 10 years was, and I was the head coach at YV, your old high school.
Yeah.
I made $1,900 that year, which probably didn't pay for the gas and the, driving. Yeah. And then I coached NAIA. I got a $3,000 stipend that year. I was a head coach at a D3 and I got $7,000. So it's like, the journey of a coach and trying to make money doing it full time is extremely difficult.
Right.
And so I went back to coaching high school, and I just got done with coaching at College Park High School, not too far down the road from where you played as well and competed against. And I was trying to get back into college. I'm like, I would just, I'll take a volunteer job, a D2 job. I'm just trying. I want to provide for my family. I want to coach college, and I just wasn't getting a lot of love. So our season ended. Our high school season ended in the middle of May. And we just had, he's now my 9-year-old son. My wife was working, so I stayed at home with him over this 2 to 3 week time. He was a couple months old. And for whatever reason, I'm on the couch. He's, doing the nap, doing the daddy daycare thing. And the women's college regionals come on, softball.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I got my kid. I can't really go anywhere. I'm going to watch this softball regional. I'm telling you, from that time on, all the way through the Women's College World Series, was about 2 to 3 weeks, throughout 3-week process. I watched every single game on ESPN and on ESPN Plus and all the different, things. And I was like, wow, this game is just like baseball. And I'd never really watched it before. It's high tempo. Like, you could play a 90-minute game. I mean, the infielders, the game was just so fast and exciting. And for me as a coach, if someone was asking, what was Matt Lisle's baseball coaching high school philosophy, it was a very high tempo game with a lot of stealing, drag bunting, putting pressure on the defense, high tempo, high energy game. And I'm watching softball, like, wow, this is exactly like my style of play, softball. And I'm kind of like, okay, this is really, and it was really fun. It was an incredible World Series. And I watched all of it. I'm like, man, this is really cool. So I had, back then I was doing the email newsletter and all these things, trying to build the social thing up, and I had no followers. And I got an email list of every D1 softball coach, head coach, and every D1 baseball coach. And it was late at night. The World Series was over. And I penned together this email saying, hey, I've coached high school. I've coached college baseball a little bit. Here's some of my background. Here's who I've worked with. And I just want an opportunity. That's all I want is an opportunity. I woke up the next morning. I probably had 10 emails from D1 baseball coaches saying, might have a volunteer spot and this and that. I don't really have anything. I had over 50 emails from D1 softball coaches saying they were interested in talking. So I'm like, okay, maybe this is a sign.
Right. Sure.
And most of them were volunteer positions, but a lot of them was I interviewed on the phone with Michigan State, Southern Miss, NC State, Oregon. And I was like, it was these are some big time programs. Mm-hmm. So like I said, kind of long story short, it just kind of worked out that I got on the phone, the Oregon coach offered me the volunteer spot. And we packed up the U-Haul and drove up to Eugene, Oregon, and started my softball career there. But it was just kind of this not to over spiritualize the thing, but it's I've been trying so hard to kind of break down the door of getting into college ball. It's with a little bit more pay than D3 and NAIA, and just wasn't having a lot of success. And looking back, it was that was the thing that opened the door for me. And I got into softball, and I never looked back. It was just, I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed coaching and hitting. And as I got into it, I figured out, hey, you know what? It isn't any different than baseball, this hitting thing. And so it kind of just all worked out for me in that sense. So that's kind of the story of how I got started into softball, from having, doing daddy daycare and watching every game on ESPN for a couple of weeks.
Well, I think what's really cool about that story is, first of all, you watched every inning. It reminds me of, I never watched the World Cup. And the last World Cup, men's World Cup, my wife's from Ecuador. She's big into soccer.
Oh, nice.
And I'm like, okay, fine. I'll watch it. I just don't know what's going to go on. They're going to run around. They're going to run 17 miles. They're going to kick the ball, and somehow they can't, get in the goal. Baseball players aren't always the biggest soccer fans, right?
Yes.
It's just kind of what it is.
I hated it growing up.
Can't stand it. Dude, I fell in love with it. I'm literally counting down the days until the next World Cup.
So I'm the same way.
I can see myself sitting. I can see you sit, because to me, I had a similar experience with the World Cup, except I didn't go and say I'm going to coach soccer because that's way out of my box. But I really appreciate that part of the story because, as you know, I've coached for many years. I actually took a 6-year, time span off, and I just went back, and I'm working with the catchers at a local school here, Canterbury at Fort Myers. Very good program. But, I've been that guy on the couch trying to figure out how to get into D1 ball. I interviewed with University of Miami, Florida Atlantic, all these different schools, and there weren't the volunteer programs that, paid a lot of camp money.
Yeah.
Right. So when I got close, I remember sitting in, Jim Morris's press box at the University of Miami, and he's like, is $6,000 going to do it for you? And I'm like, man, I'll do lessons. I'll do whatever, this and that. And you know what, dude? God's unanswered prayers, right? Because it didn't happen.
Yep.
Right. It didn't happen. And I've been able to, I was at, home with my son and, then my daughter and then other daughter. I have 3 kids. Right. So for me, it just didn't ever get there, but I can appreciate the sitting there. I'm like, okay, like, how do I figure this thing out? And what most people will do, they'll go to these perfect game tournaments and talk to these coaches. I really like your approach. You took the time to compile a mailing list for everybody and like, hey, here's my chips. They're out there. And the thing that I love the most about it is zero ego involved. Zero ego involved. You were a baseball guy your whole life. You're like, well, you know what? I'm going to listen to, this divine intervention right now is softball. That's where it's at. And you've done amazing there. You've done what? Oregon, then you went to Menlo, didn't you? Right after that.
Well, at Oregon, so that, and this kind of just really relates to what you were saying. I made $900 in my time in Oregon total.
That's insane.
And my wife was pregnant with my 4th kid at the time. We were on WIC and food stamps. I had a friend pay our grocery bill and cell phone bill. We were legit rock bottom. And I was hiding my car in the garage because the repo tow truck would drive by every morning at 6 a.m. And for me, and I think a lot of coaches, like a lot of people ask me, hey, how do I get into college coaching? I'm like, I'm not saying that your journey is like mine, but I'm telling you that the sacrifices that you have to make to start at the rock bottom is difficult, and it's probably not worth it. Looking back, obviously it is, but in the midst of it, and so at the end of that year, I went and got a job at Paychex selling payroll, 40 hours.
Dude, I was there for 7 years.
Yeah. So, and I'll tell you, like, I learned so much in that environment, sales and recruiting. It's helped me in the coaching and the social media world. Paychex was an incredible trainer of sales. And I spent 14 months there. I'll tell you, I hated every second of that job that you could imagine, but my family, we couldn't pay the bills.
Right.
In the part-time, I was sneaking off work early to go help Cal State East Bay. It was D2.
Yep.
And
was Ralston there?
It was softball. So Ralston,
gotcha.
Yeah, Ralston was doing baseball while I was there doing softball, and I got $24,000 and full health benefits. That was like my first real paying, job. So I kind of was double dipping for a little while. My Paychex boss said, "Hey, you got to stop double dipping." And so I said, I want to go back to the softball thing. I'll do camps and all, So we were just kind of getting going enough to do that. And then, I ended up going to University, Santa Clara University, back to D1. It paid $13,000, and it was 3 hours round trip every day. So I left my house at like 4:55 a.m. to get there every morning. 3 hours round trip. I made $13,000 that year. Again, we kept thinking, okay, we'll do camps, we'll do lessons. I grinded out lessons every night till 10 p.m. and just kind of in the belief that eventually we're going to get to this full-time job. Mm-hmm. And so then I ended up getting the head coaching job at Menlo College. And again, now I got $44,000. Now, if you know this, some of your followers might not. $44,000 in the Bay Area doesn't even pay your rent.
It's just like
that's your gas money to live here.
Yeah, for sure.
And my wife is a stay-at-home mom. I got 4 kids at this point, So, and again, it was 3 hours round trip every day. And at the end of that year, I loved that job. And I was just like, man, we can't do this. 44,000 a year, another year. And just, again, trying to find that way. And so then I hit the road for a year doing camps and clinics. My social media had really grown at that point. And so I did that until I got the call at the University of South Carolina. And they were looking for a hitting coach, and I met with her. It was a really good fit. And again, just kind of continue to do that. And I got an opportunity to go back into baseball, SEC, coaching third base at Mizzou. Honestly, at that time, the NCAA was voting on the third assistant position. Mm-hmm. And everybody that I talked to said, this is 100% passing. So Mizzou called me, offered me the volunteer hitting coach position. I'm coaching third base in the SEC. Now think about this. 6 years earlier, I'm coaching at College Park High School, $1,900 stipend. I've never coached at the college level, and I got offered the third base coaching job in the SEC.
So you're thinking like this, SEC, like I'm six figures, like they approve this, I'm making at least $100K. At Mizzou, you're probably thinking, you know what, 120.
So they said that position's gonna be about 120. So I'm like,
all in.
All right, we've been doing this for 20 years. We're finally gonna make it. Mm-hmm. So we're at Mizzou, and November starts rolling around, and some pro teams had called me. I'm like, I'm good. I got the spot, and the Mizzou AD and a couple other ADs are like. And I talked to, if you follow college baseball at all, you know who Kendall Rogers is. Mm-hmm. He's like, and I talked to Kendall. He's like, this thing's not going to pass. We don't think it's going to pass. And I just moved my family from South Carolina to Missouri for a volunteer position in the middle of the country. And now you guys are saying it's not going to pass?
Wow.
So all I have to say, the next thing within a week, I got a call from the Chicago White Sox. They flew me up to Chicago, said they wanted me to run all of their evaluations and assessments and stuff for the Chicago White Sox for the minor league program, and full benefits, which I didn't have at Mizzou, and we could live anywhere we wanted in the country. And so next thing you know, we moved home back to where we live right now. I probably live a mile from College Park High School, live in Martina. Oh, wow. And my kids actually go to school right by Ignatia Valley High School now. And so, I coached a year of pro ball, and it was awesome, and it was incredible. I think that for a softball guy who had no pro playing experience, the best way I could describe it was that it was difficult to be a part of the brotherhood a little bit.
Yeah, and of course.
I think for me, the players accepted me really well, and I think that did well. But my position really wasn't coaching players; it was coaching the coaches and developing hitting plans for them and trying to be a resource for them. And at the end of the year, I just kind of realized that, and I've been doing this for 20 years. As much as I want to be a pro guy, and that was a dream come true to me, that my heart and my life is in coaching college. That's where I really enjoy coaching student athletes and having that with them. And so out of the blue, I get this call from Fresno State. Fresno State coach is like, I know you want to be a head coach one day, and why don't you come here for a year and I'll help you become a head coach. So I'm like, okay, we live 3 hours north of Fresno. I got an apartment in Fresno by myself. My family and I are like, okay, we can do this for 9 months. We could survive 9 months. 9 months. Oh my gosh. So the year at Fresno, we have an incredible year. We're 12th in the country. We beat number 2 Texas. It was just this incredible season. But at the same time, there's times I hadn't seen my family in like 21 days in a row. It's always never as good as it sounds. And it was really difficult on my family. COVID hits, our season ends, but I live 3 hours north. So I go home for a few months. My mother-in-law, who lives, kind of by YV, lives right by us. She's diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And if you know anything about California, we've been on lockdown forever. Kids distance learning. So my wife is distance learning, homeschooling. My mother-in-law gets cancer, and it's like, okay, God, I'm trying to do the right thing, trying to follow this path. And it doesn't sound like me going back to Fresno is probably the best thing for my family.
Right.
And so we kept pushing it off, hoping, hey, maybe this COVID thing will go away. we can kind of go back to normal. Really never did until after the season. And Fresno didn't go back to practice till January.
Jeez.
And so we decided, hey, we're, I took a year off to really, even this morning, I was running Zoom calls with teachers and doing helping with some math stuff. And so now we're here, 2021, and it's been a crazy journey. And I think still we're trying to figure out, what does it look like going forward? I do believe it's going to be involved with coaching at the college level. I don't know where, and hopefully it's going to be a long-term fit, but we'll see what doors open, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, dude, I saw, earlier, I think maybe last week, some of you said, it's time to go back. I'm like, I wonder if he knows yet.
No, I really don't.
Can he say something?
I can tell you, I have talked to some schools about head jobs. I've talked to some schools, but some schools are still actually playing. I think that, I think the doors are going to open there. And so for me, I just having this year off, and my wife and I have been talking about it and praying about it. Okay. It's like, okay, what should we do? We gave it a year to try to figure out how to, do these other things. And we just kind of came together. So, okay, let's take a step out there, and let's see what opens. And June 1st usually is when a lot of college stuff starts moving. So we're kind of just sitting around going, okay, let's see
that carousel, the coaching carousel. That's always fun to watch, man. I don't care.
Really fun. It's really fun to watch, especially if you're involved in all that, or you've got friends and stuff in that. It's very interesting to see, all the things that happen.
Yeah, I used to sit there when I was, in the middle of endeavoring to coach in college. I would watch that carousel, and it was just, I'm watching dominoes just.
It's kind of crazy how it all works out.
Well, it's crazy because, when you're on the outside looking in, you realize that, these things are known privately before it's made public. So,
totally true.
Unless you're a part of the inside track, you're toast. But you look, man, the one thing that I respect most about your story, because, people who follow you, or people who are a part of, my small following so far, they may not know all the adversity that you've overcome, dude. All I got to do is do a simple Google search, or just, pay attention to when you're saying, I was hiding my car from the tow truck. It's really, really cool. So when I started this brand, that, it was under the assumption that when I interviewed largely successful people like yourself, because I consider you a success because you've overcome so much, what makes that person so successful? And it's overcoming adversity, and it's mindset. So, like, dude, take me to your darkest, take not just me, take everybody who's going to be listening on this Facebook Live, Instagram, and hopefully, all your followers on your platforms, like, take them to that darkest moment, man. Like, it's more than just saying, hey, I had my car in the garage, but like having to, and again, like, I'm not this, I've felt this way in my own life, having to look at my kids and my wife, like, okay, this is bigger than me. Like, I literally have to make this work. And that why kind of brought me to my knees.
Yeah.
Right. So talk to everybody about that.
So for me, the kind of, I guess the rock, I had a couple of them, but my rock bottom moment really in 2010, I had gotten done coaching at Ignacio Valley High School. I coached there for 2 years, and I was trying to do the camp thing and trying to make the ends meet. I just wasn't really making ends meet. It was just like, and I decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to try to go on a limb and try to get some of these other jobs, and just nothing was working. And so I literally hit rock bottom. I got no money. I was in my car, and the rock bottom moment for me, really, I was in the Safeway parking lot in my car. I had just made a deal with my landlord. And at the time I wasn't married. I got married a year later, and so my wife and I, we actually were broken up for a little while. And I told the landlord, I can't pay rent. If you let me stay till the end of the month, you can have the deposit back. I did that. And so I had nowhere to live. I put all my stuff in storage, which ended up getting repoed, and I lost all my stuff in my storage. But I'm in my car. I kind of bounced around with some couches. A buddy of mine had put an air mattress in his kitchen with a drape. And I was in my car, Safeway parking lot over by YV, and I eating a packet of tuna off my food stamps, and I was just like, man, this is it. Like this is it right here. Like I have nowhere to live. I'm eating tuna out of this can. I remember sitting parked under the shade of this parking lot, and I just sat there, just like I don't know where to go from here. Like I don't have a job. I don't have prospects, so for me, I will say the one thing that I look back at my life and the different adversity, family stuff, jobs, and all these kind of, a lot of them were self-inflicted wounds, to be honest with you. But something in me, maybe you did too in your baseball career, but even as a young kid, I felt like I was destined for bigger things. And I don't mean like, being famous on TV or like, this like egotistical way. I just always felt like there's better for me than this, whatever this is. And so if I'm willing to, deal with the adversity, deal with that, there is grass is greener on the other side. You just got to go through some of this stuff. And so for me, I just deep down in me, even at rock bottom, I was like, you know what? I believe that there's going to be greater. And I'll tell you, 2012, after I got back from Oregon, 13, and I worked at Paychex, and I wanted to leave Paychex for the assistant job at UNLV. And it paid $32,000. And I had 5 friends come and did an intervention on me. And I use intervention lightly, but it was like they sat down like, hey, Matt, you've been trying to do this coaching thing for a long time. Your family, you've been homeless twice. You live with your in-laws. Like you've got a good job at Paychex. It's time to hang it up. Mm-hmm. And you can't I was probably 3 months into Paychex at the time. And so one of my buddies said, hey, Matt, just like, trust me on this. If you can commit to Paychex for 1 year, just that's the timeline. Give it 1 year and let's see. But you can't just keep chasing this dream when you guys haven't made any money in 15 years of doing this. And then again, my social media wasn't really around at the time, and it was kind of dead. And mm-hmm. I had a friend, one of my friends sat down and he's sitting across from me and he said, Matt, if you turn this job down, I promise you that it will be so big. It'll be like he said like a hitting coach for the Giants. And he was referring to like pro baseball. Yeah. I remember looking at him like, screw all you guys. Like yeah. I want this job. It's a full-time hitting coach job in D1, 32 grand. And I hate this Paychex job, and you're full of it. That's going to get like, if I say no, it's going to get bigger than this. Yeah. And so I told them all, no, I'm going. And I drove home, and after a couple hours of them basically telling me like, this is a really bad decision. And I've laid in bed at probably 1 o'clock in the morning, and I called them like on a group thing. I said, you guys are right. I'll say no to this. I'm not happy about it, but I haven't made good decisions in my life. And you guys are, I feel like are in good places. I trust your input, and I'm going to say no to this. And again, I think that was, as much as the rock bottom moment was like in the car and that felt like the bottom, to me, that felt like the first time that I actually, there was a turning point. Like it was by saying no to this thing, in the belief that something bigger and better was going to come if I could do that and stay the course. And just at that time, again, commit to my family. It's the same thing. I felt like a year ago when I left Fresno State, it was like, man, this is not going to be good for my career. Leaving another job. I've left all these jobs bouncing around. It's not going to be good. But something in me again was saying, hey, do what's right and be patient. And so and for me, when it comes to mindset, it really is just that. And I've read my Bible a lot. There's these mm-hmm. stories of guys like Job and these guys who have done really dumb.
Yeah, you haven't quite as bad as Job. I mean, Job, no, but he got beat up, man.
Just made some terrible decisions and gotten beaten up and came out on the other side. And so for me, I just always believe like, hey, there's going to be some really tough times. And I want to say I read a book one time, maybe about the Navy SEALs, some military training where, they get them so bad, but in their mindset, they say, you are not going to die. Mm-hmm. The sun is going to come up tomorrow. Yeah. And so in the moment right then, and so I've held on to that idea to a degree of like, even when I'm in pain or things are going really bad, it's like, okay, you are not going to die. Right. Tomorrow is going to be a better day. and holding on to the idea that's coming. So for me, that has been really helpful, because I think it's really easy. It's easy for me too to kind of get into the depression or start blaming people and blaming everybody else and all those things. And I think I've just been fortunate to have people around me that when I start feeling that way or start feeling like, doubting myself, that they kind of step in and say, hey, those are lies. That's not the truth. You are a good hitting coach, or you are this, and there is a better thing for you. And I think if I hadn't had that tight circle or my big family to speak into those things, and it was just left to my own devices, I probably would have gone to some darker places or believed a lot of the lies in my head over the years about who I was.
Man, so a couple of things. Like I'm with you on everything you said. First of all, I got to ask you, was that the Safeway right by Nations?
It was actually it was a Countrywood Safeway.
Okay.
Where, there's Starbucks. I think back when you were there, it was a Winchell's, but it's a donut shop.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah. No, there's a Starbucks there. So I know exactly which one you're talking about. But listen, man, I mean, that's the thing. Like, I've heard you say depression, right? I've heard you say dark places, intervention, and just telling your friends you're thinking, screw you. Like, guys, listen, if you guys are listening to this and watching this, understand that there are very successful people that deal with the same, I guess you want to say voices in their head. Like, I deal with it on a day-to-day basis. I battle it, right? And Matt, I'm gonna tell you something, dude. When you said that you always thought you were destined for something so great, like, brother, like, I thought about that for decades. I'm like, what is it? Like, I can't figure this thing out. Like, I'm not super inventive. The shoelaces have already been invented. I'm screwed. Like, like, what am I going to do? Yeah. So, one day this came along, with the help of my friend Nat, we started talking about, what's your brand? Dude, I don't know what my brand is. And said, post a picture of yourself in the gym and ask people to fill in the blanks. And I'm like, ooh, that's dangerous with my group. Like, so I got some amazing responses. Like, my buddy Jason Montgomery sent me a response that I'm still laughing at every time I tell the story. It's not for the air. But, the cool thing is I always thought, like, I'm destined for something bigger than me, like, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And, I didn't know what it was. And then when this came about, I'm driving down the road, and then all of a sudden my brain exploded, all in the car. It just exploded. I'm thinking podcast or video cast. I'm thinking, speaking, consulting with sales teams, consulting with people. And then all of a sudden it was like the Matrix in my car. I'm like, dude, I got to pull over because I can't even see right now. There's so much stuff going on. So I get off the exit and I call my wife. I'm like, something just happened and I got to, like, tell me I'm crazy. And she goes, no, you're not crazy. You could literally do all those things. Like, every single thing that you have mentioned, you can have, like, you can do. And within 2 months, I've set it all up. I mean, this is new, right? So to the point, it's just like, when you think of something that you wanted to do, you go at it with massive action, right? It's something that you obsess over and you just go. And dude, like, I'm right there with you. So, like you said, like, I don't mean from an egotistical standpoint, I don't take it that way at all. It's vision. I've known you a long time, dude. I mean, granted, when we grew up, we didn't, like, hang out all the time, but, like, I knew you, right? Like, it's like, okay, that dude is different. You can always tell people are different.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? So, like, your story is compelling.
I think it's never what you expected it to be. Because so for me, back in the days of coaching Ignacio in College Park, and I kept thinking, okay, if I could just get the camps going and the lessons, travel ball, I can make enough money. Like, that was a goal. That was a goal. Like, to be a hitting coach for the Chicago White Sox, that was never on my dream board.
Not on your radar.
It was, but it's like, okay, it's never going to happen.
Like, oh, come on. Yeah, that ain't going to happen.
Coaching on ESPN and the SEC championship for softball, like, these things. And so for me, again, like, I think I hit 1 million followers this year on social media. It's like, my wife and I joke, is like, would you have ever believed that a lot of this, like, has to do with Twitter and Facebook? Like, that has helped pay the bills for us.
Well, dude, your hitting vault. I mean, your hitting vault. That's an amazing business.
The hitting vault 1.0. in 2014, I was the main speaker at the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association, which was one of the scariest moments of my life, speaking in front of these thousands of college coaches.
I bet, man.
And I wanted to launch. I got the idea in my head from watching these other hitting gurus who were selling DVDs. I'm like, you know what? And again, it's one of those moments. It's like I never thought it would be like this thing, but I'm like, you know what? I want to do a website of hitting drills, and I'm going to launch it. And but I had no money at the time, and a buddy of mine, it's like, hey man, what do you think it would cost you? I'm like, I don't know, man, bare bones, $4,000. And I hired a woman off Craigslist who had a movie camera. She filmed me and this other guy doing the drills. I edited every video in iMovie, and I launched the site, and it made like 35 grand the first week. I paid my buddy back his 4,000. And I was so worried about borrowing this $4,000 because I was like, if this doesn't work, I owe the best man at my wedding $4,000, and like it's just going to damage that relationship.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I get it.
Gave it to him 24 hours later, and my wife's car was broken down, totally broken down. This Hyundai, it was death trap. I got her a new car, new-ish, and I had taken off, and then again throughout the years, and now it has blown up, and we have 7 employees now, and it's a huge, it's an incredible business. But again, like in those moments of doing something, and my Down syndrome 30-year-old brother who FaceTimes me 5 times a day.
Dan.
Me right now, Daniel.
Oh, Daniel, man. Dan's the man.
I can't see where I put my phone, but see if I can put it on mute. But anyways, but like to me, like all those ideas, and yours, especially with your podcast and everything, is like it starts small, and you never know where it's going to go, and your expectations of what it can be are never it never turns out the way that you expect it to be. It seems to be always much bigger and better. And, for me, I think the biggest challenge that people have is to just get the ideas and they just don't do it. It's like, I had this great idea. Fear takes over and they just can't execute on it, and they take a step on it. And, I'll tell you, like, if you look back at the Heating Vault 1.0 that we did, it wasn't great quality. It wasn't a great product, but I've heard 50 other people say, I had that idea, I should have done it, but you didn't.
Yeah.
Like you got to go out on a limb. You got to take a risk. And you know what? You might fail at it 50 times, but the 51st time it might take off and might go. And, for me, social media for the first year or so, I worked my butt off on social media. I didn't make a penny, but I was like, you know what? I think this could be a thing. And I'm just going to invest full time into it and sharing ideas and videos and drills and practices and, everything I know about coaching, I'm going to share it on social media. Let's see what happens. Yeah. And next thing you know, I had 100,000 followers and on and on. And
dude,
so
it was funny. Like that whole thing for me, when guys, go to his Facebook, his Twitter, his Instagram, and you'll see, like on Facebook, he'll put something up there, and then within an hour, like 7,000 people have shared it. Like, and it's
social media is insane.
I'll get people, right? Parents or something, or kids that I coach, or just friends will share something of yours, and they're like, "Hey, I saw this. I think you'll like this," and I just laugh, and they're like, "Do you know him?" I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, like, I know him. Like, no, you know of him. Like, look, dude, like, I go way back with that guy. But it's always so funny because, like, it's awesome and it's inspirational because I'll see, like, where I'm starting right now, I'll see, a vlog that I do in the morning, and I'm like, ooh, cool. 19 people have viewed that. Like, 19 people care. And it's just like, I look at, in preparation for this, this video cast, I look at your social media, and it's like, dude, like this is amazing. It is real quick, dude. You have got to say hello to somebody for me. You've got to say hello to Casey Howard. She is a friend of mine. She is a huge Matt Lisle fan. She's one of those that if you say my name, I'll fangirl it. I'll fan.
That's awesome.
What's up to her, man?
Casey, how you doing? I appreciate it very much that you say that, and I appreciate you following again, and Casey and others too who do. My wife and I joke about it all the time, and she has friends all over the country. Like one of my good friends just shared a thing, and there's times that I post something, and I look data later, and it has 52,000 likes. I'm like, what in the world?
Dude, show me how to Dougie, Matt. Show me how to Dougie, bro.
There's no rhyme or reason to it sometimes, and it's just like we joke about it a lot because it's just that's the nature of social media. And again, like we joke about it more because it's like 10 years ago, if you were to say, hey guys, Twitter and Facebook are going to be some of the main sources of your income and how you guys provide for your family. And you looked at, you would have like, what are you talking about?
Social selling. What are you talking about?
Dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Yeah. So I guess for me, you know, for people of your friends and people who are listening, it's like, you just have to understand that the ideas you have in your head, you got to try them. You got to go for it. And the biggest part, the other piece of that is you got to be consistent with it. A friend of mine, you might follow on Instagram a little bit, him and I are good buddies now. His name is CJ Beatty. He's the baseball, softball motivator. And when I first met him, I had followed him. He was big on YouTube and had a lot of followers. I was like, hey man, how'd you do it? And he said for the first 6 months, he made really good YouTube videos and 20 views a video, 20 views a video. He's like, I guarantee 19 of them were my mom. That's what he said. And he's just like, I wanted to give up, but I was just consistent. Then he had a 13,000 video that kind of hit. It was a great video. And then 20,000. And now he makes a living full time from speaking and being a motivator, a speaker, and having a brand. And again, like if he had quit after 10 videos of 20 views, who knows what he'd be doing, you know, and trying to grind it out. But what happens is we try things. It's like, oh, this sucks or didn't work, and I don't have a lot of views, or whatever the thing is. And after a few tries, they give up. But that being consistent part, showing up and continuing to do it. I mean, it's the same conversation I have with my 9-year-old son about baseball. Like you can't go out and practice for 10 minutes before a game and not practice the rest of the week and expect to be good. You have to be consistent. And if you're not consistent, how do you expect to be good at this thing?
I mean, 100%, you know, and the thing that I love about this whole thing is people are getting the opportunity to kind of, even though they're not interacting right now, or they could be, I'm not looking at the Facebook feed. I mean, it could be blowing up. Hopefully it is. But seeing how down to earth you are as a human being, as a father, a husband, you know, a son-in-law, you know, a son. I mean, there's not a whole lot of people, Matt, in this world that would put their career on hold, you know, for, you know, I mean, listen, to be there for your mother-in-law, that doesn't happen a lot. So, you know, the one thing that I love about you, bro, and that I've always enjoyed about your family is you guys have good hearts. And, you know, I'm jacked up about all your success, man. It's, you know, it's humbling, and it's, dude, I mean, honestly, man, I look at you and I'm like, you know what, that's where I want to be in 2-3 years, you know, is being able to have, and it's not because I want all these people just like knowing, I want to be able to reach more people with my message, right? And help people. So, you know, dude, you're an inspiration to a lot of people, dude. So, you know what, here's what I have for you. Those moments, because you're still going to have them, remember this conversation. Remember there's somebody in, you know, Indiana that you don't even know who she is that literally hangs on to every single one of your posts. So always believe that Matt Lisle is going to come out on the other end. That's where, you know, that's what I have for you. So
I appreciate that very much.
But look, dude, I know you got some more distance learning to do. You know, dude, I appreciate it. It's been one hell of an hour. It flew by. And, you know, if you don't mind, I want to connect with you real quick offline, if that's cool. And then I will let you get to your day. But thank you, everybody, for listening. Once again, Matt Lisle. Thanks, bud.
Thanks, everybody. Bye, Casey.
Let's see here, bud. Stop recording. Oh, yeah, man. I'll get back to you, okay? I'll reach out to you here in a second.
Okay.
Thanks, man.